Hey guys, this is Ed, Paul, and Anna of Current Brand Media, and we are here to tell you a little bit more about our sponsor.
Sportsball is a great subscription service geared towards minor league baseball fans. Each box features a different minor league team.
You get a box every 3 months with minor league baseball gear, including different styles of hats like Ed's favorite, the dad hat. The cost is less than $12 a month.
Proceeds from each box goes to More Than Baseball, the only nonprofit dedicated to the well-being of minor league baseball players.
We all know that Parents' Days are coming up this summer, so if you've got a mom or a dad or a grandma or a grandpa who are particularly difficult to buy for, but you know they're baseball fans, this is the answer, guys.
Meet your new favorite team at sportsballbox.com.
Is there anybody there?
What's up, Deadhead crew? Ed here, and on this episode, I give you guys Chuck Domino. He is the godfather of minor league baseball, guys. He has worked with way too many teams for me to name. We actually do name them on the episode, so you guys gotta listen to that. But he also gives me a story that hits close to home. How he acquired the rights to the Akron Rubber Ducks. That's right, that same team. It was a good story, a fun story. So you guys gotta make sure you guys listen to the full interview. Now, before I give you the interview, just wanted to let you guys know that I am partnering with Baseball Barbecue. You guys gotta make sure you guys go on www.baseballbarbecue.com/dadhand. Get all your grilling needs there. They have a lot of cool, they have cutting boards, grilling utensils, and you can now use all of your favorite minor league baseball teams, all the affiliated teams. Okay, so guys, make sure you guys go there. baseballbarbecue.com/dadhat. And now that I got the business part out of the way, without further ado, guys, I'll give you the episode. All right. Well, I want to welcome you guys to yet another episode of the Dad Hat Chronicles. Obviously, you guys know me. My name is Ed, but with me today, guys, I got a treat for you guys. I have the president of which one of the greatest names right now in minor league baseball, the Dirty Birds, the Charleston Dirty Birds, Chuck Domino. How are you doing, sir?
Good, Eddie. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on. It's absolute, mind, blowing episode when I contact you guys and you said yes. I'm like, yes, let's do it. So I was super excited for that.
Great.
So let's get started. Let's go right in. It'll be like the same question I ask everybody. Growing up, how did you become a fan? And you're a Pittsburgh guy, correct?
Yo, yeah. Well, I was taken by my father took me to my first game at Old Forbes Field in Pittsburgh in 1969. We had box seats. At the time, I remember him saying we got box seats, and I thought we were going to be sitting on cardboard boxes. I had no idea what that meant. And we played that it was the Pirates against the Montreal Expos, the expansion Montreal Expos in 1969. And boy, I fell in love with Roberto Clemente.
Oh.
I always remember it was in October. It was one of the last games of the season because the Pirates had a backup catcher by the name of Jerry May, and Jerry May walked with the bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth inning, and the Pirates won on a walk-off bases loaded walk. And the newspaper the next day said it's May and October because it was Jerry May, and I'll never forget that. So I was hooked on baseball from that point forward. Roberto Clemente, you can't see, but I have a picture of Roberto Clemente right over here. I have multiple offices, and Roberto Clemente is featured in all my offices.
Oh.
And I also have Pete Rose over here because I remember one of the games the next year I went with my mother and my little brother, and we sat out in right field of Forbes Field because I wanted to sit close to Clemente. And they were playing the Cincinnati Reds, and Pete Rose was playing right field for them.
Oh my God.
Clemente for us every other half inning. Clemente Rose, Clemente Rose, Clemente Rose. What a memory that was. And I was at the last game ever played at Forbes Field. We swept the Cubs in a doubleheader. 10 days later, I was at the first game ever at Three Rivers Stadium against the Cincinnati Reds. Unfortunately, we lost that game 3-2. So that's how I became a baseball fan. I went to my first game when I was 10 years old. Forbes Field, got hooked. And
Never look back.
Yep, exactly.
And you obviously, and you talk about Clemente, and he's, obviously I'm from the same island that he was from, right?
Uh-huh.
And let me tell you, that's music to my ears, because that guy, he is like, you say his name, and everybody lights up as soon as they hear, Clemente, name. It's amazing.
I still haven't seen anybody play the game like he did, with the same grace as he did. To watch him, the way he ran the bases, just the way he flung his arms and everything he did, the basket catches, the great arm, the way he stood. He was only 175 pounds, but he had strong hands, and he could hit the ball out of, and he played in Forbes Field, which was 457 feet to straightaway center field. Think about that.
That's
and
massive.
It was like 390 to the power alleys. And so, if he would have played most of his career in Three Rivers Stadium, he probably would have had 400 home runs instead of 219 home runs. But anyhow, I can go on and on about Clemente. I get goosebumps to this day talking about Roberto Clemente. And of course, I was devastated, the infamous plane crash.
Yep. And never found his body again, which was, even sadder, right?
Yep.
So, all right. So let's go ahead and just jump a little bit ahead. You're about to head into, minor league heaven. What was your first job in minor league?
My first job was an internship in Oklahoma City with the AAA Texas Rangers.
Nice.
And yeah, I went out there and I graduated from at Biscayne College with a sports management degree down in Florida. It's now called St. Thomas University. And they offered internships, and I had my pick of a couple, and I picked baseball in Oklahoma City. And from there, the next year I was in a town, Eugene, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of that season, the general manager said to me, Chuck, you're ready to run your own club. And the same owner owned a team in the Pioneer League called the Pocatello Gems. So I said, sure, why not? And he says, well, you're going to be the general manager of the Pocatello Gems. So 2 years out of college.
You're running a team.
I think I was the youngest general manager. Certainly at that time, I was 24 years old. I might have been the youngest general manager in the history of professional baseball. I don't know. But so I've been the lowest rung I've been at has been general manager since 1985.
Oh my God. And then obviously your longest stint was with the Fighting Phils, the Reading Fighting Phils.
Yeah. This is my 40th year. And I'm still involved with the Fighting Phils. I'm the president of their charity. And I go up there like once a month for 3 or 4 days. And I love Reading. Boy, I don't know if you've ever had a chance to get to Reading. That is minor league baseball, just to the nth degree. I don't know, the history of that stadium and the color and the pageantry of the way they celebrate their history there. It's like a step back in time. It's really beautiful.
Now, and one of my favorite brands that they do is the hot dog vendor.
I created the hot dog vendor in probably, it was late 90s, early 2000s. I came up with the idea of the crazy hot dog vendor because the sponsor, the Burke's Hot Dogs, wanted us to come up with something unique. So my idea was that he was going to run through the stands throwing hot dogs. And one day, my assistant general manager came up to me, who's now the general manager, Scott Hunsaker. He's been there for a lot of years. He says, Chuck, we came up with a better idea for your crazy hot dog vendor. We want to put him on an ostrich, and we want to throw hot dogs from the field. I said, that's just crazy enough. I think that's a great idea. So Matt Jackson is the crazy hot dog vendor. He's been the only crazy hot dog vendor since its inception in the late 90s, I believe. And he's now in his 40s. and I brought him to Charleston twice last year, and he's coming back once this year. He's kind of taken the crazy hot dog vendor on the road, and I tell you what, people just love him everywhere he goes. He is one of the most popular, if not the most popular mascot. And there's still Screwball. Screwball is the number one original mascot that I came up with back in the like 1988. But the crazy hot dog vendor riding on the ostrich, which Scott and a couple other people came up with the ostrich. That's just something that people still talk. And that ostrich has the name Rodrigo, and
it's amazing.
It's just a great atmosphere there, and we love the crazy hot dog vendor.
It's really minor league, right? That's what's at the heart of it, because I even own their dad hat for the crazy hot dog vendor. It's one of my hats that he on my wall. So that's how like popular he is. Like he has his own hat, for God's sake. That's amazing.
He has his own hat. He has his own bobblehead. He has his own 4-foot statue in the team store there. I mean, the crazy hot dog vendor in Reading is, he's more popular than I am. That's for sure.
That's amazing. But that's, again, like I said, that's very minor league. So I want to read a number of teams that you've worked with, which is the Storm Chasers, Omaha Storm Chasers, Lexington Legends, Rocket City Trash Panthers, Charlotte Knights, Fisher Cats. I mean, Yard Goats, and then this is not a small list, my friend. This is a very legit, like some legit teams out there that you've worked with.
You're and I was the president of the Iron Pigs, the AAA team of the Phillies for several years too, and I before COVID, I had 10 teams. So I was either managing or consulting with. Kind of COVID kind of changed everything, but one door closes, another door opens, and Andy Shea, owner of the Lexington team, who I've been doing work with for a lot of years, called me and said, "Hey, we got an opportunity in Charleston. Would you be interested?" And it's going to be independent baseball. And I said, "Andy, I've never done independent baseball. I've always found it, a little fascinating. Let's give it a shot." So that's how I ended up. That's how I ended up in Charleston, West Virginia. And one of the things, Eddie, that I made up my mind early on is probably the second or third phone call. We were the West Virginia Power at the time. Yep. The second or third phone call that we got when I first got here that was complaining about their electric bill, thinking we were the power company. I said, we're not going to be that. We got to change the name. We got to change the name to something more along the name of the Flying Squirrels and the Yard Goats and the Rubber Ducks. I was involved with that name as well, and the Trash Pandas. Something truly minor league fun. Something that resonates with the younger segment of fans too. So that's where we came up with the Dirty Birds. Of course, it's not popular with everybody. No names are real popular with everybody at first, but then it becomes the hometown team and everybody accepts it. Sometimes it takes a little longer than others.
I was just going to say, because it's very, very interesting, the dichotomy of between local and national, view of the name and the team and everything, and how a lot of the times it's not the same. Right. And so I find that fascinating.
Well, in Rocket City, the big debate was, oh man, people are going to hate, we don't want to, there were some people says we can't call ourselves trash.
Yeah.
When I was in Lehigh Valley, we can't be pigs. Everybody, when I was with the Hartford team doing, helping pick that name, what's the Yard Goats? We can't be the Yard Goat, but I tell you, as soon as you, usually when you unveil the logo, when the people hear the name first, they're a little skeptical, but when they see the logo, and it kind of all resonates for them. And I think that's what's happening in Charleston. That's certainly what happened with Richmond and the Flying Squirrels. When we named the Flying Squirrels and the Iron Pigs, that was the first two that I was involved with. People, we will never come to games. That's the worst name. We're embarrassed over that. And I like to tell a story in Lehigh Valley. People were up in arms about the Iron Pigs. First game, there's 65-year-old grandfathers walking around with plastic pig snouts that we were selling in the store, wearing plastic pig snouts. So, you let the venom kind of get out a little bit, and then they wear themselves out, and they finally succumb and say, either, I'm going to join this team. I'm going to join it. Why not? It's our team. Let's have some fun with it.
I was just gonna say, and why not enjoy it, embrace it? It's something different. It's very hyper local. So I don't understand why people would be against it. Like, hey, listen, the Akron Rubber Ducks, right?
Yeah.
They were the Arrows for a long time, became the Rubber Ducks, and it's one of the most popular ones out there as well. The Trash Pandas.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a little story about the Rubber Ducks. So I was there with them in 2011, doing some consulting, and myself and Jim Fander, their general manager, we were coming up with names, because Arrows, really, nobody really knew what that was. It was kind of a really messy logo, hard to decipher on a hat. And, we kept thinking about it. And Jim came up to me and says, I got it. He goes, we play at Canal Park, which is water. We play in the Rubber City, home of Goodyear and Goodrich. He goes, we got rubber and we got water. What do you think? What's come to your mind? I go, Rubber Ducks. He goes, exactly. I go, that's it. So what happened was, we went ahead and hired Brandios.
Yep.
And we had the logo, we had the uniforms, we had everything. And the reason why I was there is because a new ownership was going to come in, and I was going to oversee the team for them. And Jim was going to be the general manager. I was going to be the president. But the sell, unfortunately, to that group fell through. The old owner came back and said, and I was gone at that point, and he said, we are not going to be the Rubber Ducks. I hate that name. So he went back to the Arrows for another year. And then he sold the team to a new owner who came in, and he kept the Arrows for 1 year. But in the meantime, I owned the name to the Rubber Ducks, because the old owner refused to pay Brandios. So I personally paid Brandios.
Yeah.
Because I felt bad that they got left.
They did all the work and all that. Yeah.
Right. So I paid them out of my pocket, and then I own the rights to the Rubber Ducks. But what am I going to do with it? There's only one team really there where it made sense, and it was in Akron. So fortunately, the new owner came back around to me and said, you know what? We want to be the Rubber Ducks now. How much do you need for the name? And I said, I just want back what I paid for it. And that's how they became the Rubber Ducks.
Nice. I never knew that. Absolutely never knew that. That's how they became the Rubber Ducks. They were supposed to be a couple of times, and boom, there it goes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love the logo. I love their faux back when they go the little rubber ducky. I mean, I think it's great. It's amazing.
The logo's fantastic. It really is.
Yeah. Let me ask you, because you touched on this a little bit. You worked affiliated, and now you're in independent ball. From your experience, what is one of the biggest differences working in now independent ball?
Well, you get so much more involved with the team itself. I mean, it's like we have a player coaches, we have Scott Kelly's a hitting coach and a second baseman, Joe Testa's a left-handed starter, and our pitching coach. Joe Testa's also a handyman, so he came in a couple of weeks early to help us get the stadium ready. So you don't have that in affiliated ball. You don't have your pitcher / pitching coach coming in a couple of weeks early to help you put the stadium together,
right?
And painting and building stuff. So that's just a small example. But paying the players and being involved with the salary cap, the monthly salary cap. Our manager, Billy Horn, does all that, but he keeps me involved, and they say, this is how much we got left in the cap. This is how much I want to pay. What do you think if I sign this guy? He knows the players. He's been in the league for a long time. But it's interesting being that part of it. So just being closer to the actual decisions that are made for the roster.
Right.
What, in affiliated baseball, you have nothing to do with that. there's times in affiliated baseball when I was the president of the Iron Pigs, our office was on the second floor over first base, and the clubhouse was on the bottom floor under third base. You would never see the guys.
Yep.
They would never come up to the office. You would see them, first event you had, the meet the players event. And then you pretty much the next time you talked to them, actually they were, you were giving them their flight to go home. So, but
Wow.
It's not like that. You're seeing these guys, you're interacting with them all the time. And I think it's pretty cool change of pace after 38 years of affiliated baseball.
Yeah. And I mean, the Dirty Bears have become one of the most popular teams, especially on social media, right? With the involvement of social media. Tell me a little bit about that, because I see you guys are a lot more active, with that. Was that done purposely so that way, everybody could get to know the team?
Yeah, we changed things up here after last year. Last year was a real we were drinking out of a fire hose last year.
Mm-hmm.
I got here like a month before the season started, and baseball in Charleston wasn't even a for sure thing until February of 2021. And then I got here in late March, and we were playing like 6 weeks later. So we really kind of pieced it together. We didn't have a whole lot of time for strategic thinking on the marketing end. But through the course of the season last year, I learned that Zach Curden, our box office manager, was also very talented in social media. So we pretty much gave him all the social media, and he's running with it, and he's doing a fantastic job.
Yes, he is.
Really.
I follow him on social media as well, and he's great with it. He is absolutely great with all of that. So I mean, kudos to you guys for that. And when you guys release new hats and all of that stuff, I mean, the involvement you guys are doing with fans it goes a long way.
Yeah. Well, part of my job is because I can't do what a lot of these people do. I can't sell a ticket. If you put me in front of the ticket computer down there, we're not going to have anybody at games because I can't sell them a ticket. I don't know anything about social media, but what my job is to notice talent and play the people in the right places. Like a manager of a baseball team, he can't play center field, but he knows who should play center field.
Right.
So,
exactly.
that's
how that goes.
Right.
I love it. Okay. It's obviously you've been in affiliated and indie ball for just a little bit of time, right? Involved with baseball. Tell me something that has been, that you've noticed that has been that's changed along the time, when it comes to baseball, like, anything like that at all?
It's changed so much since I got into this. It was a really mom and pop operations when I got into it.
Mm-hmm.
Teams were being sold for they would just assume the debt from the previous team, and that's how they would acquire teams. Teams would still owe a bus company $25,000 or their local newspaper for advertising $25,000, and this guy $3,000 and that guy $5,000, and someone would come along and said, "I'll pay your $82,000 worth of debts and to own the franchise," and that's how transactions were made back in the late 70s and early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And then the transformation occurred. I think a lot of it had to do with my contemporaries. We were all kind of coming out of college at the same time in like the early to mid 80s with sports management degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And we were getting hired by people to run these teams, and we were starting to run them a little bit better. And then that attracted some owners who were more sophisticated because they saw some movement and say, hey, this is being run a little more professionally. So they were attracted. And then, one thing led to another. More sophisticated owners came in, then they started hiring more sophisticated operators, and back and forth. And before you know it, the franchise values were going up because attendance was going up. The smart owners were reinvesting in the facilities, and boom. And then the movie Bull Durham came out during that period of time, which brought a lot of attention to minor league baseball. So it was like the perfect storm in the mid 1980s, late 1980s, and it just kind of took off from there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you say Bull Durham because that's how I grew up. I grew up with Major League Bull Durham. That's how I fell in love with baseball. And look how it's still to this day two of the most talked about movies out there when it comes to baseball.
Yeah, that's really how it happened.
Anything that has stayed constant for you that you think that's just it has not changed? Obviously the game hasn't changed, but something that has stayed constant.
Well, the one thing that's constant, and I just got done, is 2 days before opening day, me and the rest of the crew out there, no matter whether you're the president or the general manager, we're moving tables, we're moving, we're getting ready for opening day. It's a lot of physical labor. I guess the point is, it's still a very hands-on. Minor league baseball is still a very, very hands-on business.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't changed in that aspect because it's grassroots. We have to depend on people buying tickets, buying concessions. We get the same amount of money from TV as we did 40 years ago, which is zero.
That's a lot of money. Let me tell you, it goes a long way.
Yeah. So, so we have to scratch and claw, and we have to give a good product so people want to, buy the ticket, and the ticket's got to be affordable enough where they can come and buy the ticket, and the food's got to be affordable so they can continue to come multiple times with their family. But at the same time, our costs keep going up. So you got to try to be creative. You create different revenue streams for sponsorships. Without sponsors, we're dead in the water,
right? Because
the sponsors are what really allow us to keep the prices affordable for the rest of the community. And so that's what I tell if I speak at a chamber commerce event, I always say, you people out in the audience are what's allowing us to still sell tickets for $8 and $10 and still sell hot dogs for $2 and $3. Because you're the ones that are helping us pay the bills so we can afford to keep our prices affordable for the rest of your neighbors and your customers and your own businesses. So, it's really, minor league baseball is really a partnership with the community.
Let me ask you, because this is a trend that I've seen happening, is now advertising on uniforms and such, but I think it goes hand in hand with what you're saying, right? If you want to keep affordability low, then there has to be a give and take. Some uniforms are going to have some advertising and things like that.
Soccer is really doing a lot of that. I mean, they put a lot of value on their uniforms. We haven't done it yet, but not that if we had the right opportunity, we would do it. Mm-hmm. We're still selling some other inventories. But once we sell out everything, then you start looking, okay, what else can we do? Yeah. What else can we do? And that's a nice problem to have. So hopefully we get to that soon, where we got to start thinking about, let's sell everything we can sell. If you remember, Eddie, and I think you're probably old enough to remember, mm-hmm. You watch old time baseball games from when I say old time, I'm talking not that old, 70s and 80s.
Yep.
A major league game. It wasn't that long ago. There was not an advertisement in an outfield on a major league game.
Correct.
Minor leagues, that was considered at the time. That was looked down. Major leagues looked down upon. That's minor leagues selling outfield advertising. Now look at a major league stadium. So major league stadiums have learned and have stolen a lot of ideas from minor league baseball through the years.
A lot of them.
And when they build new stadiums, they build them smaller, more mm-hmm. intimate. They're like larger minor league stadiums. They're not these huge bowls like Three Rivers and Riverfront used to be. They've learned a lot they might not want to admit it, but they've learned a lot from minor league baseball, and they've adjusted.
And let's be honest, now all of a sudden they're coming out with city edition uniforms, but minor league has been doing different alternative uniforms and all of that for a long time. So yes, they keep, Major League want to believe all they want, but they are getting information and they are learning from the minors.
They are, no doubt about it.
Let me ask you, speaking of that, would you ever consider going up and working in the majors, or is that something that you're
no, I had some opportunities a long time ago, and
Okay.
I just never, it just was never a goal of mine.
Mhm.
I like being kind of a hands-on, kind of get my hands dirty
Mhm.
kind of guy, and I don't like wearing a tie.
Neither do I.
Yeah, minor leagues just kind of just fit who I am, and I started doing it, and I got addicted to it. I don't know if you ever heard the name Bob Freitas.
Mhm.
Bob Freitas. There's a Bob Freitas Award given out every year at the well, it used to be at the baseball winter meetings. The Bob Freitas Award was for excellence in baseball, minor league baseball operations. Bob Freitas was an old timer who really kind of wrote back in the 50s and 60s, kind of wrote the manual on promoting minor league baseball way back in the day. And I got to meet him. He happened to live in Eugene, Oregon when I was in Eugene, Oregon. And
Oh, wow.
he was in his 80s at the time, and I was in my early 20s. And he was such a wonderful man. I remember he brought me over to his house for dinner with he and his wife. And he told me, son, he said, you're never going to get rich in this business. But he goes, if you want to get out now, because if you don't, it's going to get in your blood and you're going to do it for the rest of your life. So, and he was absolutely right. Although I don't think he envisioned the kind of money that minor league baseball started to generate. And
You're
so you can't get super rich, but you can do all right if you hang around long enough and you do your job well.
And I love the the intimacy of minor league baseball, the availability of general managers and you guys that have with fans like myself that you're not going to get from a major league team. It's just not going to happen.
Well,
so I really enjoy that.
Right. Yeah. The general manager of a major league team, he's watching the game from a suite. He's watching every pitch of every inning from a suite. In 40 years, if you add up all my innings that I've actually watched the game, it might add up to 4 years worth of baseball in 40 years. Because I'm busy running around, making sure the lines are going down or, whatever I'm doing.
Right.
I'm very rarely just sitting watching the game. Now, if it looks like, it's 8th inning, 9th inning, and we got a nail biter, I'm going to make sure I watch some of it.
Oh, absolutely.
But normally, when people interview and for jobs in minor league baseball, and they say, I said, why do you want a job in minor league baseball? I just love baseball. I said, you know what then? You're probably better off buying a ticket than being a fan, because if you really, really, really love watching baseball, you're in the wrong business, because you're not going to be seeing as much as you think you're going to see. You're better off watching it in person. And if you think you're going to spend a lot of time getting to know the players, and you're just not. It's a job there's a lot of benefits to it, but it's a job. It's a lot of work.
It really is. It most certainly is. Let me ask you one more question before we go into my famous, not so famous question. And I really want to know the character that is the Toast Man.
Yeah.
He is, I actually have one of the dad hats, right? That I have back here is one of them. Tell me about him, because every time I hear about, West Virginia, the Charleston team is, he's there.
Well, not only is he there, he's right here. He's through that door on the other side right now as we speak. He and I are the only two here in the office working late. He works full-time for the team. It wasn't always that way.
Right.
He started out as the Toast Man at Watt Powell Park before they moved over here, and then he came here. He's a season ticket holder. He makes toast, and he sits over close to the visiting teams on deck circle, and he razzes those visiting team members just mercilessly. But he never crosses the line.
Right.
he gets on their case. He has history on them. He studies, he researches them. If he found out that a guy struck out 3 times in a College World Series and they lost the championship, and this guy was 0 for 4 and struck out 3 times, he's going to remind him about it every time he comes up to the plate. And he's going to remind everybody in the stands about it every time he comes up to the plate. So the Toast Man, he is now a full-time employee of the team up until 5 o'clock. And then he buys his season ticket and he becomes a fan. And
That's amazing.
I couldn't understand the whole dynamic when I first got here. I hadn't met him yet. His name is Rod Blackstone. I had not met him yet. I just heard stories. I'm like, wait a second. How can this guy how can he be a front office member and then turn around and go do that? How does he not get punched? How does he not, how does he? But I'll tell you what, every time I have an out of town guest come to the game, I put them right down next to him because I know they're going to enjoy the heck out of the game because he is funny and he gets under the other player's skin, but he never crosses the line. And most of the time, the players, even if he gets under the skin, they come up after the game and they'll fist pump him and say, "You got me. You really got under the skin."
You got me this time.
Oh yeah. Oh no, he's famous. He really is. He does a great job.
Love it. That's so baseball, right, to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I love this game, because there's people like him that make the game fun, which is,
Yep.
I get at the end of the day, we're playing a kid's game. That's
Right.
what it is. It's a kid's
Yep.
game and people are getting paid for it, which I love.
Yep.
All right, my friend. Are you ready for this?
Let's go.
Okay. I'll ask you an easy one. When you go to a ballpark as a fan, not as a paid employee, what is your drink and food of choice?
Well, it depends what stadium I'm going to.
Oh, okay.
If I'm going to the Pirates, if I'm going to a Pirate game, I'm getting a Permane Brothers sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to a Philadelphia Phillies game, I'm getting the Schmitter.
Schmitter.
So it's called the Schmitter, after Mike Schmidt.
Uh-huh.
There's all kind of different meats on it. If I'm coming to this here, I'm getting the Billy Horn dog.
I love it.
Okay,
That's
so
amazing.
our manager is Billy Horn.
Uh-huh.
And I told him, he didn't know why I was asking him. I called him about a month ago and I said, "Billy, what's your favorite topping on a hot dog?" And I says, "It can't be ketchup, mustard, sauerkraut. Give me something out of the ordinary." And he said, "Well, let me think about it. I'm going to ask my wife." So he called back the next day and he goes, "We think that an interesting one would be macaroni and cheese and bacon bits." And
Wow.
I said, "I like it. You just designed the Billy Horn dog." He goes, "Oh, man, I love it. So yeah, if I'm here, I'm going to get a Billy Horn dog."
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm going to get the cheapest old man's beer you can get. If they have a Pabst or an Old Milwaukee, that's what I'm going to get. I don't like craft beers, Eddie. Not only don't like them, I don't like paying the premium for something I don't like.
I was just gonna say, and a lot of teams have now their own local beer.
Yeah, no. In Reading, we had my dad's beer stand.
Mhm.
It had like 10 brands that your father drank in the 1960s, and they were all like the Pounders, like the Black Labels and the Schlitz and the Schmitz, and that's what I'm going to drink.
I love it. That's amazing. Okay, so let me see. Coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee, absolutely.
All day long, huh?
All day long.
Cats or dogs?
What you say?
Cats or dogs?
Oh, dogs.
Oh, that's my good man. Deep dish or New York style pizza?
Wow, that's a tough one. I'm going to have to say New York style, but sometimes you just got to have
There's a time for everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Okay. Your favorite topping on an ice cream?
You're not gonna believe this one because you probably never heard this one. I like coconut.
Oh,
I
yeah.
like shredded coconut. I never, because I had that one time and I like, this is awesome. So if I'm anywhere and they have shredded coconut, that's what I'm going to sprinkle on my ice cream.
And it's good. There's nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely delicious. Okay, what was your nickname growing up?
Oh man, it was, when your name's Chuck,
It's just
you're Chuckles, you're Chaz, you're Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, so you got a lot of nicknames growing up.
Yeah. It's up Chuck. It's all like a play. Play on my name.
I get it. I can see that. All right. If animals could talk, which animal do you think would be the rudest animal?
Kangaroo. No, not a kangaroo. A giraffe.
A giraffe? I love it.
Yeah, they're arrogant. They're taller than everybody.
Yeah, it's like they see down on you.
They just look down on you. Yeah,
I love it.
I think kangaroos would be the rudest.
I like it. All right. So if you can have dinner with any baseball player that's no longer with us, that's dead, which player would that be?
Well, we already touched on it earlier.
I think I was going to say, yeah.
It's got to be Roberto Clemente. And because I had my second favorite player, I did have dinner with him and Willie Stargell way back in the day. And he was a fantastic guy. But Roberto Clemente.
Yeah, that's a good one. I wish that's the same player I would choose. Mm-hmm. If that player would be him. That would be amazing. Okay, let's see a couple more and then we'll get you out of here. Do you think that cereal is a soup?
Do I think cereal is a soup?
Yep.
Heck no, because I love soup and I don't like cereal. So they no way they could be the same thing.
It's not happening. Not on your house. Not on your watch.
Nope.
Do you think a hot dog is a sandwich?
No.
Another great answer. All right, here's the last one. Strangest thing that you have ever eaten?
Wow. That's a tough one because there's nothing I don't eat.
You'll try just about anything.
Yeah, there's nothing I don't eat. I can't think of anything there's probably a lot of people think I eat strange stuff, but I can't think of anything really, Eddie. I don't know if this would be the strangest thing, but here in Charleston, I created the Bologna Roni burger, which is a burger with a slice of fried bologna and then fried pepperoni and then pepper jack cheese. That's delicious. I don't think that's strange, but that's a good one.
That's something I would definitely love to try for sure.
Yeah. I would have to have a little more time to think about that one. I'm sure I'd come up with something, but not off the top of my head because I just eat. Because I eat. I'm like a human garbage can. I really
You'll try just about anything, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Love it. Hey, I want to thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Where can people find you and the team on social media and things like that? Do you know?
You have to get, Zach Curtin. You're talking to the wrong guy.
So the dirtybirds.com and then they can.
Dirtybirds.com. Yeah.
I will put the link to the Twitter so that way they can follow you guys.
And our Facebook too. So.
Absolutely. I will make sure to do that. Again, thank you so much. Take care, my friend.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
I hope you guys enjoyed that episode with Chuck Domino. Now, make sure you guys are following the Dirty Birds on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. They even have a TikTok channel. They do a bunch of TikTok things. I don't know what that means, but they have one, okay? And then also, if you guys like what you guys are listening to right now, this episode, this podcast, make sure you guys are giving it 5 stars and leave a review. 5 stars means I go up on the rankings. That means more people get to listen to the podcast. Until then, guys, keep on grinding and always support the minor leagues. See ya.
This podcast is part of the Curved Brim Media Network. Here are some of the other members of Curved Brim Media.
Hi, this is Ed Rivera of the Dad Hat Chronicles. Join me as I interview people just like you and players, coaches, GMs on the path that led you to become a fan of the sport.
I'm Paul Caputo, and on the Baseball by Design podcast, I talk to minor league baseball teams, designers, and other super interesting people about what these minor league baseball logos mean, and I talk a little bit about ice cream helmets.
What's up, Bucketheads? I'm Anna DiTomaso, and each week on the Baseball Bucket List podcast, I speak with a different fan about their favorite baseball memories, what the game means to them, and what's left to check off on their baseball bucket list.
Hey guys, this is Patrick Larson from the Minor League Baseball Hat History Series, and in every episode I go through the history of minor league teams through my personal collection of hats. You can find me on Twitter at @PatLarson1. I hope you guys enjoy.
This is Patrick
and Corey
of BaseballMapper.com, and we have made an interactive map to help highlight all baseball teams from the majors down to collegiate summer leagues.
We want to bring you closer to baseball, so get on the site and find a team near you today.
Learn more about Curve Brim Media at curvebrimmedia.com.